His hand smacked the wall by her head, pinning her right there, and when she whispered those 3 words in perfect Spanish, words she didn't even plan to say out loud, his dark eyes lit up with something risky, something owning that made her knees shake. "Say it again," he ordered, his voice turning to a deadly quiet as his inked fingers lifted her chin up, making her look right at him. "Say it again, and I'll make you mine tonight." The club's beat thumped through her chest, the bright neon lights throwing shadows over his pointy face and pure white hair, and Cassie knew for sure that her life was about to flip forever. 3 hours earlier, she'd been unseen. Now, the most risky guy in Seoul had picked her as his. Cassie Brooks had exactly $43 in her bank when the email came. Not $43,000. $43. The kind of poor that made her pick between soap for clothes and quick noodles that kept her up at night, adding numbers that never worked out. She'd been in Seoul for 8 months teaching English to bored teens during the day and giving drinks at a bar for visitors at night, staying in a tiny box apartment in Edie where the walls were so thin she could hear her neighbors fight in 3 different tongues. Nobody had told her that going to Korea on a teaching pass would be this tough. That being alone could feel so real, like being hungry. That being a black woman in a city that stared but never really noticed you could empty you out bit by bit. The email was from Elite Translation Services, one of the many places she'd sent apps to during a really bad 3 a.m. freakout. They needed someone for a one-night gig, big-name client, fancy party. The pay was $3,000 for 6 hours of work. $3,000. Cassie read the number 4 times. Sure, it was a mistake. The trick was easy. The client asked specially for someone good in Spanish, English, and okay Korean. Someone fine in fancy spots. Someone who could keep quiet about what they might see or hear. Cassie's finger waited over the reply button. She'd learned Spanish from her grandma in Houston, had spent summers in Mexico City with cousins who taught her slang not in any book. Her Korean was okay, getting better every day just to get by, and quiet. She'd been unseen her whole life. She was a pro. She typed yes before scare could stop her. 2 days later, Cassie stood outside Club Azure, a spot she'd only seen in Instagram pics from stars she'd never be. The building was all black glass and blue LED lights, beating like a heart against the Seoul night sky. The dress they'd sent her fit like it was made for her body, deep green silk that held her curves and made her dark skin shine. They'd even added shoes, a hair person, and a note that made her belly flip. "You're there to translate for Mr. Kang. Stay close. Don't ask questions. Don't draw attention." The guard at the door saw her ID badge and moved aside without a word. Inside the club was a different world. Crystal lights hung from rough ceilings. The air smelled like fancy smell and cash. Pretty people in outfits that cost more than her rent swam through the space like sharks. Mean and fancy. "You're the translator." A woman in all black popped up at her side, eyes checking Cassie with cold skill. "You're late." "I'm 10 minutes early," Cassie said, then wished she hadn't said it like that. The woman's face stayed the same. "Mr. Kang is meeting with Spanish money guys in the VIP area. You'll stand behind him, translate when needed, and be unseen otherwise. He doesn't like messes. He doesn't like errors. Understand?" Cassie nodded, her mouth too dry to talk. They went through the crowd, upstairs marked private, past another guard spot, and into a part of the club that made the main floor look cheap. Private seats with glass you can't see through, servers who moved like dancers, and in the middle seat, around men in pricey suits, sat someone who made every bit of air leave Cassie's lungs. He was pretty in a way that felt risky. Sharp chin, high cheeks, lips that bent in a smile with no warmth at all. But it was his hair that grabbed her, pure white, falling over his forehead in a way that should have looked fake, but instead made him look like a ghost, not touchable. And when he moved, she saw bits of ink under his collar, tattoos that hid under his perfect black shirt. Tijon Kong, she didn't need to be told. Even in her 8 months of hiding away, she'd heard the name. Everyone in Seoul knew the name. He owned half the city's night spots, had hands in houses, tech, bring in, bring out, stuff that asked no questions. The kind of guy who worked in not clear spots so well that the rules bent for him. His eyes found hers across the room, and Cassie forgot how to breathe. They were dark, super dark, and they went over her face with a strength that felt like touch. Not staring bad, not sexy exactly, but checking like he was listing every bit, saving her in some brain file. Then he looked away, back to his guests, and she could breathe again. Stand there, the woman whispered sharp, putting Cassie a bit behind and to the right of Tajan's seat. Don't sit, unless told. Don't speak, unless translating. Don't? Ia pua, escachada, Tajan said without looking up from his drink. His Spanish was perfect, accent plain. She can hear you. The woman's face went blank. Careful. She bowed a bit and vanished. Cassie stood still, heart pounding as the real deal hit her. She was in a VIP room with a guy who spoke Spanish, which meant he didn't really need a translator, which meant she was here for a totally different reason. The meeting started, and Cassie made herself pay attention. The Spanish money guys were into a land deal in Gangnam, something about fancy homes and buyers from other places. The talk was dull, tech stuff, exactly the kind that needed translating, except Tajan never once asked her to translate. He did the whole meeting in perfect Spanish, switching to Korean when talking to his own guys. His voice a low growl that did weird stuff to her back. The money guys laughed at his jokes, agreed to his rules, drank his pricey whiskey, and through it all, Cassie stood there, no use pretty thing, feeling his notice of her like heat on her skin. 2 hours passed. The deal was done. Hands shook, and the money guys left, with promises of papers and parties. Tajan's guys left one by one until the VIP area was empty, except for them two. Cassie should have left, should have bowed nice and got out while she could. Instead, she heard herself say, "You didn't need a translator." The quiet after was super loud. Tajan turned slow, and the full hit of his focus was like facing a coming train. He put his glass down with careful move, then leaned back in his seat, one arm along the back of the seat, totally chill. The tattoos on his hand showed fancy designs that wrapped his knuckles and hid up his sleeve. "No," he agreed, his voice with a bit of fun. "I didn't." "Then why am I here?" The question came out steady than she felt. He tilted his head, looking at her with those weird dark eyes. "Why do you think so?" "I don't play games," Cassie said, which was a lie. She didn't have the luxury of games. "If you're wasting my time, wasting your time." He laughed, a sound that was somehow colder than silence. "You're being paid $3,000 to stand in my presence for 6 hours. That's $500 an hour. Most people would call that generous, not wasteful." Her face got hot. He was right, and they both knew it. She needed that money bad enough to eat her pride, and he knew that, too. "Sit," he ordered. Cassie waited. The woman in black had said specific, "Don't sit unless told," but that was before she'd been sent away. Now it was just them two, and sitting felt like going over a line she couldn't go back. "I don't bite," Tajan said, then stopped. "Unless asked." She sat not next to him, but across the seat, keeping as much space as the closed spot allowed. His lips bent, a bit like he thought her careful was funny. "Cassie Brooks," he said, and hearing her name in his voice sent a chill down her back. 26 years old, from Houston, Texas. Been in Seoul 8 months. Teaching visa, lives alone. No family in Korea. No boyfriend. He leaned forward a bit. "Should I continue?" Her blood went cold. "You had me checked out." "I have everyone checked out." He said it like it was clear, normal. "You think I let strangers into my private space without knowing exactly who they are? Then you know I'm nobody." The words came out bitter. Just another broke English teacher trying to survive. "Nobody," he repeated, tasting the word. "Is that what you think you are?" Before she could answer, his phone buzzed. He looked at it, his face getting dark, and then suddenly there were men in the room. His men showing up like ghosts from the dark. They spoke in fast Korean, too quick and too tech for Cassie to catch all, but she got enough. Problem, shipment, port, cops. Tajan's whole way changed. The almost fun edge gone. replaced by something ice-cold and scary. He gave orders in a voice that made big men jump, his inked hand pointing sharp. Then his eyes went to Cassie, and she saw thinking flash on his face. "You?" he said with me. "What?" "No, that wasn't a request." He was already moving, his men making a guard shape around him. "You want your money? You stay close and do exactly what I tell you." Cassie's getaway gut yelled at her to run, but $3,000, rent, food, another month of not sinking. She stood, her legs wobbly, and followed. They went through the club like a storm, people moving aside without ask. Outside, a black SUV was waiting, door open, engine on. John slid in and looked at her waiting. "This is insane," she whispered. "Yes," he agreed. "Get in anyway." She got in. The SUV drove off before her door closed. Tejan was on his phone, talking in short Korean, his chin tight. Cassie pushed against the other door, trying to be unseen again, trying to get how a simple translate job turned into this whatever. They drove for 20 minutes away from the shiny middle of Seoul and into work areas she'd never seen, storage spots and shipyards, the kind of places where bad stuff happens and nobody asks. When they stopped, Tejan turned to her. "Listen careful. We're meeting someone who speaks Spanish. Only Spanish. I need you to translate, that's all. You don't speak unless I tell you. You don't react to anything you see. You don't remember any of this after tonight. Understand?" "What kind of meeting?" Her voice was barely quiet. "The kind where your translate skills keep me from starting a war." His eyes locked on hers. "Can you do that, Cassie? Or should I have my driver take you home right now?" She should have said yes, should have run while she could. "I can do it," she heard herself say. His face changed, something like okay flashing on his features. "Good girl." The storage they went in was huge, dim light, smelling of salt and rust. Men along the walls, all with guns, tight, so thick, hard to breathe. In the middle, a group of men waited. Cassie knew the type right away, the kind her cousins in Mexico warned her about. Cartel, not the low street sellers, but real power, real risk. Tejan walked forward with the sure of a guy who owned the ground. Cassie followed her heart, trying to jump out, feeling every eye on her. The lead man, mid-50s, with a face like old leather, looked at her Jen, and then at Cassie. He said something in fast Spanish, and Cassie's belly dropped. He says, she translated, careful that he doesn't do business with people who hide behind translators. He says, if you want his respect, you speak directly. Tejan's chin got tight. This was a test. Power game. Cassie got it without need. Explain. Tell him, Tejan said soft, risky, that I don't speak Spanish because I'm hiding. I don't speak Spanish because his language isn't worth my time. But since he's touchy about it, I brought someone to make him feel big. Cassie's eyes got big. I can't say that. That's word for word. His voice was calm. She took a breath and translated, her Spanish smooth despite her fear. The storage went quiet. The cartel leader's face went dark, his hand going toward his gun. Then he laughed loud, real, bouncing off the metal walls. "Tienes huevos," he said, grinning at Tejan. "You've got balls." Then his eyes went to Cassie and his grin got wider. "Y tiene bu gusto." She's beautiful. Does she come with the shipment? The words hit Cassie like a hit. Before she could even think, before she could translate, Tejan moved. He closed the space in 2 steps, his hand around her waist, pulling her against his side with owning force. The move was so quick, so not expected that Cassie gasped. "Tell him," Tejan said, his voice going to something deadly quiet, "that she's not part of any deal. Tell him she's mine. And if he mentions her again, I'll burn his entire operation to the ground and salt the earth where it stood." Cassie's mouth went dry. His hand was hot against her hip, his body solid against hers. She could feel the tight in him, ready fight, waiting for reason. She translated. Her voice shook a bit on the word mine. The cartel leader's brows went up. Then he nodded slow, something like respect in his face. "Entiendo," he said. "I understand. No offense meant." She's clearly well protected. The meeting went on. Terms talked. Agreements made. Through it all, Tijon kept his hand on Cassie's waist, a mark of owning that made her skin burn and her thoughts mix up. When they left the storage an hour later, Cassie's legs were shaking. She fell into the SUV, her whole body shaking with energy drop. "You did well," Tijon said. He sounded almost proud. "You told him I was yours," she said, the words falling out. "You claimed me like property." His eyes found hers in the dim light of the car. "Would you rather I let him think you were available? That man collects beautiful things, Cassie, and he doesn't ask permission." Her breath stopped. "So you were protecting me." "I was protecting my investment." But something in his voice said that wasn't all true. "You're valuable to me now. People who are valuable to me stay close where I can keep them safe. I'm not your property." "No," he agreed. "Not yet." The yet hung in the air between them, heavy with meaning. If you're new here and you're absolutely hooked on this story, soul lovers, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you're the first to know when I drop more mind-blowing stories like this. And tell me in the comments, what country are you watching from and what time is it where you are? I love knowing my global family is tuning in. Now, back to Cassie and Tijon, because things are about to get even more intense. They didn't go back to the club. The SUV went through Seoul's night streets, past areas Cassie had never seen, going up hills where houses became big places, where walls blocked the world. When they stopped, she saw they were at a top-floor building, all new design and guards that looked army level. "Where are we?" she asked. "My home." Tijon opened his door. "We need to talk." "We can talk in the car." "No," he said, simple. "We can't." Something in his tone made fighting seem useless. Cassie followed him inside through a front room that looked like art place into a private lift that needed a fingerprint. As they went up, the city spread below them, a rug of lights that looked magic from high. The top floor was just what she'd thought. All clean lines and pricey simple. Floor to top windows. Stuff that looked like in books. Art that was probably worth more than she'd make in life. Tijon took off his coat, and Cassie's breath stopped. The tattoos she saw bits earlier covered his whole right arm. Fancy designs like old Korean dragons, mixed with new shape patterns. They hid under his shirt, and she wondered how far they went. "Drink?" he asked, already pouring himself whiskey. "Water." Her mouth was still dry from fear. He brought her a bottle, their fingers touching in the give. The touch sent spark up her arm, and from how his eyes got dark, he felt it too. "I need to understand something," Cassie said, wanting to break the tight. "Why me? You could have hired any translator, pro ones who do this regular. Why ask for someone who fit my type?" Tijon took a long drink thinking about her. 3 weeks ago, I saw you. What? At a coffee spot in Itaewon. You were marking papers, complaining in Spanish on the phone to someone about your house owner. Your accent was perfect. Mexico City with Houston mix. Not book, not visitor, real. He put his glass down. Then you switched to Korean to order, and the coffee guy looked surprised because outsiders rarely speak it that good. And when you left, you said thank you in 3 different tongues to 3 different people without thinking. Cassie stared at him, her heart thumping. "You've been watching me for 3 weeks. I've been aware of you for 3 weeks. There's a difference." He moved closer, and she should have stepped back but was stuck. "You're talented, Cassie. Wasted teaching bored teens and giving drinks to visitors. You're getting by when you should be doing great, and you can help me do great." The doubt in her voice was strong. "Let me guess, you have a offer for me." "I do." He was close enough now that she could see silver bits in his dark eyes, could smell his smell mixed with whiskey. "Work for me, only deal. I need a translator I can trust for world deals. Spanish, English, Korean. The pay is $30,000 a month, plus house, plus costs." Cassie's knees shook. $30,000 a month. That was not real. "What's the trick?" she whispered. "You belong to me." He said it simple like clear. "You live where I tell you. You go where I need you. You don't take other jobs. You don't tell anyone what you see or hear. And when I say stay close, you stay close. That's not a job. That's owning. No. His hand came up, inked fingers touching her chin, tilting her face up to his. Owning means I'd ever let you go. This is a deal. When you want to leave, you leave. But while you're mine all. The word mine in his voice did something to her, made her belly flip and her skin warm and her brain stop. I don't, she started, but her voice broke. You don't what? Trust me. His thumb brushed her lower lip, and Cassie forgot how to breathe. Smart. You shouldn't. I'm not a good man, Cassie. I hurt people. I break rules. I work in dark. That would scare you if you really got them. But I protect what's mine with all I have. And if you say yes, you'll never fight again. Never worry about rent or food or being unseen. You'll matter to me. Why? The question came out as barely breath. Why do I matter to you? His eyes looked in hers, and for a bit, she saw something open under the ice. Because when that cartel leader looked at you like you were a thing to get, I wanted to kill him, and I've known you for 6 hours. Imagine what I do for you after 6 months, after 6 years. Her beat was fast. This was crazy. He was risky, for sure bad. Everything smart in her brain yelled to run, but she'd been unseen for so long. So tired of fighting, of just getting by, of feeling like drowning while others breathed easy. If I say yes, she whispered, what happens? I will make you mine tonight. His voice went lower, rough with promise. Not just on paper. I show you exactly what belonging to me means. And tomorrow you move into one of my places. Your apartment in Idiwan, the one with thin walls and broken heat. You leave it behind like a bad dream. And if I say no, pain flashed on his features so fast, she almost missed it. Then I pay you your $3,000. Have my driver take you home and I never contact you again. You go back to teaching, back to fighting, back to being nobody. The word nobody hit her like a hit, because that's what she'd called herself earlier. That's what she'd believed. I'm not nobody, she said, her voice stronger than she felt. No, Tejan agreed, his hand moving from her chin to hold her face. You're extraordinary. Say yes, Cassie. Say yes, and let me prove it to you. She should have thought longer, should have asked more questions, should have kept safe. Instead, she breathed, yes. The word was barely out before he moved. His lips hit hers, and Cassie's whole world tilted. The kiss was asking, owning, taking her breath, and putting fire instead. His hands were in her hair, on her waist, pulling her against him like trying to join them. Cassie had been kissed before. This wasn't that. This was claiming eating a mark that went deep. When he pulled back, they were both breathing hard. His white hair was messed from her fingers, his eyes wild with something like win and hunger mixed. Mine, he said, and it sounded like a promise. Yours, she echoed and meant it. What Cassie didn't know, couldn't know, was that upstairs in Tijan's private office, phones were already ringing. His enemies had noticed her. The cartel leader had made calls. Word was spreading through Seoul's bad world that the White Dragon had claimed someone, that the not-touchable Tijan Kong had shown weak by caring about a woman. In the bad world, weak was a call for attack, and Cassie Brooks, a poor English teacher from Houston who just wanted to pay her rent, had put a mark on her back the moment she'd said yes. But in that moment, wrapped in Turchen's arms, tasting whiskey and promise on her lips, she didn't care about danger or smart or keeping safe. For the first time in her life, someone saw her, really saw her, not as unseen, not as nobody, but as someone worth claiming, worth keeping safe, worth everything, even if everything came with a price she didn't yet get. The next morning, Cassie woke up in a bed that felt like sleeping on a cloud. For a mixed-up bit, she didn't remember where she was. Then she saw the floor-to-ceiling windows showing souls stretched out below her, the silk sheets that probably cost more than her monthly pay, and the events of the last night came hitting back. She'd agreed to work for Turgen, no more than that. She'd agreed to belong to him. The bedroom door opened and a woman in her 50s came in carrying a tray. She was fancy, her face kind despite the work distance in her stand. "Good morning, Miss Brooks," she said in perfect English. "I'm Mrs. Hayne, Mr. Kong's head housekeeper. He asked me to help you get set. Your breakfast is ready, and these are for you." She pointed to clothes bags on a nearby holder. "Mr. Kong had his hair person make a closet. Your sizes were guessed, but if anything doesn't fit, we'll fix it right away." Cassie sat up, pulling the sheet around her. "Where is he?" "Mr. Kong left early for a business meeting. He said to tell you he'll return this afternoon." Mrs. Hahn put the tray on the side table. Fresh fruit, coffee that smelled great, breads that looked too pretty to eat. "He also left word that you're not to leave the top floor today. For your safety." The words "for your safety" sent a cold down Cassie's back. "Am I a prisoner?" "Of course not." Mrs. Hahn's face softened a bit. "But Mr. Kong has enemies. Until right guards are set, he wants you stay here. I promise, the top floor has all you could need." After Mrs. Hahn left, Cassie checked her new reel. The top floor was big. 4 bedrooms, a kitchen that looked like on a cook show, a private workout spot, a book room full of books in many tongues. The closet in her bedroom was already full of clothes in her size, from easy wear to night dresses, each piece clear pricey. She found her old phone on the night table, and her belly dropped. 43 missed calls, 27 texts, all from her friend Lauren, an American teacher she'd met at start. The messages got more worried. "Where are you, Cassie? I'm worried. Someone said they saw you leaving Club Azure with a man. Please tell me you're okay. I'm calling the police if you don't answer in 1 hour." Cassie called her back right away. "Oh my God, Cassie." Lauren's voice was high with happy and mad. "I was this close to saying you're missing. Where the hell have you been?" "I'm fine. I'm sorry. I should have texted. Something came up. Something came up." Lauren's tone was sharp. "Try again, and this time tell me the truth. Did you leave with a man last night?" Cassie waited, Tia Chen's words in her head. "You don't tell anyone what you see or hear." "I took a job," she said, careful. "Translate work. It's mixed up. Translate work that makes you vanish without telling anyone." Lauren stopped. Then her voice went low. "Cassie, what kind of job is this?" "A good one. The pay is great." "And how great?" "Lauren, how much?" "Cassie, 30,000 a month." The quiet on the other end was loud. "Dollars," Lauren whispered at last. "Yes, for translate work." "Yes, Cassie." Lauren's voice was tight. "Nobody pays that much for translate unless the work is bad law. Please tell me you didn't get in with." "I have to go." Cassie cut in. "I'll tell all soon. I promise." She hung up before Lauren could fight, her hands shaking. Lying to her only friend felt wrong, but what was she supposed to say? "I'm working for a man who runs half of Seoul's bad underworld. And by the way, I let him kiss me and tell me I belong to him." Her phone buzzed. A text from unknown number. "Don't worry about your old apartment. All handled. Your stuff will come this afternoon. TJ Jun." It had already moved her things, had already wiped her old life like never was. Cassie's chest got tight with something between freak and easy. That afternoon, true to word, her stuff came. Boxes of clothes, books, her grandma's blanket, the few dear things that mattered. Mrs. Hans watched their put while Cassie stood in her new bedroom, feeling like watching her life happen to another. Then Taejon came home. She heard him before, saw him, his voice from the door talking fast Korean to someone, his tone short and risky. When he came in the bedroom, his face was dark, tight, coming from every bit of him. "We have a problem," he said. "No start." Cassie's belly dropped. "What kind of problem?" "The kind where people who want to hurt me think the best way is through you." He went to her, his inked hand holding her face. "I need you to listen careful. Starting tomorrow, you'll have guards. 2 men, old army, all loyal to me. They go everywhere you go. No talk about it. You said I wasn't a prisoner. You're not, but you're mine, and I protect what's mine." His chin got tight. There's already been a try. Her blood went cold. What? Someone tried to get the building guard records this morning. They wanted info about you, your times, your ways, weak spots. His thumb brushed her cheek. They were handled, but there will be others. Because of last night, because he claimed me in front of those men. Yes, you didn't look sorry. In my world, close is use. I showed them you matter to me. That makes you a mark. Cassie pulled away from him, her mind fast. This is crazy. I can't live like this. I can't have guards and locked doors and always threats. You can. You will. His voice was hard. Because the other is you go back to your life, and I watch from far, while someone who wants to hurt me hurts you instead. Is that what you want? I want to not be in danger. Then you shouldn't have said yes to me. The words were hard, but his eyes were hurt. I told you I wasn't a good man. I warned you, but you said yes anyway. And now we're both living with that pick. She wanted to yell at him, wanted to run, but under the fear was something else. The memory of how unseen she'd been before, how small and no mean her life had felt, how despite all being claimed by him made her feel noticed in a way she'd never had. I don't regret it, she whispered. His face changed, surprise flashing on his features. What? I don't regret saying yes. I'm scared, and this is totally crazy, but I don't regret it. She met his eyes. Is that crazy? Completely. He pulled her against him, his arms around her like shield. But I'm thankful for your kind of crazy. That night, Tejan said she'll sleep in his room. Not for love, he said, but for safe. The main bedroom had extra guard stuff, and he wanted her where he could keep her safe. Cassie lay in the dark next to him, super aware of every breath he took, every small move. He wasn't touching her. They were apart by at least a foot of bed, but she could feel the heat of his body, the ready, tight that never left him. Tell me something real, she said into the dark, something true about you that nobody else knows. He was quiet so long she thought no answer. I'm terrified of you, he said at last. What? Not of what you could do to me, body, but what you already have done. He moved, turning to her. In the dim light from window, his white hair looked silver, his eyes dark. I've spent 32 years building walls, making sure nothing and nobody could get close enough to matter. And then you walked into that club, and within hours you'd broken every wall I had. That scares me. Cassie's breath stopped. Why tell me this? Because you asked for something true. That's the truest thing I have. His hand found hers in the dark, their fingers linking. I'm not good at this feeling, caring. I'll probably hurt you without mean to, but I need you to know that you matter. Whatever happens, however this ends, you matter to me in ways I don't even get yet. Her eyes burned with tears. That's the most love and scary thing anyone's ever said to me. I contain multitudes, a bit of fun in his voice. Now sleep. Tomorrow, you start your new life, and I promise it won't be boring. As Cassie went to sleep, wrapped in silk sheets, and the warmth of Turchin's there, she got he was right. Whatever else this was, risky, mixed, probably break, it sure wouldn't be boring. And maybe, just maybe, being seen was worth the risk. The next 3 weeks went in a fast mix. By day, Cassie went with Turgeon to business meetings, her Spanish going smooth as she translated deals and talks. She met world money guys, helped talks between enemies, and slow started to get the hard web of real and no-trill business that made his big stuff. By night, they were in a weird close dinners where he taught her about Korean past, and she shared tales about Houston summers, talks that went to early morning, bits when his hand would find hers, or his eyes would stay on her face like saving her looks. He never pushed for more than she ready, never asked for the body stuff that boiled between them like heat under ice. The holdback made her want him more. This risky guy who could take anything but picked to wait. Her guards, 2 hard-faced men named Turjan and Sang Min, became her shadows. At first, there made her not comfy, but after the 3rd time, they stopped someone following her. After Jae Sung Easy said they handled a threat in the car spot, Cassie started to get she wasn't crazy worry. The risk was real. Lauren kept calling, kept pushing for bits. Cassie skipped most calls, sent not clear texts, and felt the friend pull under the heavy of secrets she couldn't share. Then all changed. It started with a pic. Someone caught an image of Cassie and Turgeon leaving a food spot, his hand on her low back, her face to him with clear like. The pic showed on a gossip page, then spread to social, guests running wild about the White Dragon's mystery foreign girlfriend. The comments were mean. Some said she gold digger. Others made race bad about black women and Asian men. A few were straight threats, promised to teach her about staying away from Korean men. Cassie tried to not see them, but they got under her skin. All her life, she'd been unseen. Now she was super seen, and the look was hard to breathe. The real hit came from Lauren. They met at a cafe in Id. Jung and Sang-min watching from near table. Lauren's face was cold. Far. Nothing like the warmth they'd once had. So, it's true, Lauren said. No start. You're with Taejeon Kang. It's complicated, Cassie started. Complicated. Lauren's laugh was bitter. Cassie, do you have any idea who he is? What he does? I did some check after we talked. The man runs group crime. He's linked to all from bad betting to bring in bad. Stop. Cassie's voice was sharp. You don't know him, and you do. You've known him for what? 3 weeks. Lauren leaned forward. He's using you. Whatever he's promised, whatever he's paying you, it's not worth your safe or your soul. My soul. Cassie felt mad rising. Where was your worry about my soul? When I was working 2 jobs and could barely eat. When I was so alone I'd go days without talking to anyone. When I was unseen. Being seen isn't always better, especially when seen for wrong reasons. Lauren's face softened a bit. I care about you, Cassie. I don't want to see you get hurt. I'm already hurt. I've been hurt my whole life. Cassie's voice broke. At least now someone cares enough to do something about it. Someone who works outside the law. Someone risky. Yes. Cassie met her friend's eyes. Yes, he's risky and mixed, and probably bad for me in a dozen ways. But he sees me, Lauren. Really sees me not as a help case or a mix hire or an unseen face in the crowd. As someone who matters. When was the last time you felt that? Lauren was quiet for a long bit. I hope you're right about him, she said at last. I really do. But Cassie, when this falls apart, and it will fall apart, don't expect me to pick up the pieces. I can't watch you break yourself for a man who will never truly be yours. She left without word. Cassie sat there, tears down her face, feeling the friend break like glass. Sang-min came careful, gave her a tissue, and didn't say on her crying. Small, kind. That night, she told Taejeon about the talk. They were in his workroom, her curled in a chair by window, him at desk checking papers. She's not all wrong, he said quiet. Cassie's head snapped up. What? I am risky for you. I do work in not clear spots that most would find not forgive, and this will get harder before easier. He put down his pen, meeting her eyes. I can't promise you normal, Cassie. I can't give you the safe, respect life you probably deserve. What I can give you is truth. Is that enough? She stood, going to him, her heart pounding. I don't want normal. I've been normal my whole life, and it was slow killing me. I want this. You, whatever hard comes with it. His eyes got dark. You say that now. I say it because I mean it. She was standing in front of him now, close enough to see the fight in his eyes. I'm not simple, Taejeon. I know what you are. I know the risks, but I also know that for the first time in my life, I feel alive. I feel like I matter. Don't take that away from me because you're scared. I'm not scared. But his voice was rough, showing him, yes, you are. You're scared that I'll wake up one day and see you're not worth it. That I'll leave, like everyone else probably has. She held his face, feeling the tight in his chin. I'm not everyone else, and you're worth it. Even when it's hard, even when it's scary, you're worth it. Something broke in him. She saw it, saw the walls fall. He pulled her into his lap, his arms around her with need, strength. I don't deserve you, he said against her neck. Probably not. She ran her fingers through his white hair. Good thing I'm not asking for deserve. I'm just asking for truth. For you just as you are. He pulled back to look at her, and his eyes were wet. She'd never seen him cry, wasn't sure he could, but there were tears now. Open bare. I love you, he said. The words sounded pulled from deep inside. I don't know how it happened so fast, and it scares me, but I love you. Cassie Brooks completely. Not possible. Her heart jumped. Say it again. I love you, stronger this time. I love you, and I will burn down the whole world to keep you safe. Say you're mine. Say it, and mean it. I'm yours. The words came easy, true down to her bones. I've been yours since that first night. Since you looked at me like I was something dear instead of something throwaway. I'm yours, Tijon all. He kissed her then, and it was different from before. Not claiming or owning, but soft respect, like she was something holy he'd got okay to touch. When they broke apart, both no breath, he pressed his head to hers. I have something for you, he said low. From his desk box, he got a small box. Inside was a neck chain, a thin gold with a hang shaped like a dragon, tiny shiny stones making the scales. In Korean way, dragons are guards, he said, as he put it on her neck. They watch what they treasure most. I want you to wear this so all know you're guarded, that you're treasured. Cassie touched the hang, feeling its weight on her skin. It's beautiful. So are you. He kissed her again, soft and sweet. Thank you for what? For not running, for seeing me, for picking this even when hard. His hands held her face. For loving me back. I do, she whispered. I love you, even though you're bad at feelings and you run a bad empire and you make my life way more mixed, especially because of those things, he said with a bit of his usual big, and she laughed. Over the next months, Cassie got used to her new reel. She got good in the tongue of Tijon S world, knowing when to talk and when quiet, when to ask and when just trust. The threats didn't go, but she learned to live with them, learned that fear and love could be together. She made up with Lauren, though their friend was different now, with lines and not said deals. She started teaching again, but at her own tongue school that Tejon paid, working with move-in kids who needed someone to see them the way she'd once needed. She wasn't unseen anymore, not as Tijon's woman, not as a gold digger or a bad news, but as herself. Cassie Brooks, translator, teacher, woman who picked to love someone mixed and been loved strong back. 1 year after that first night at Club Azure, they stood on the top floor outside. The city lights spread below like fallen stars. Tijon's arms around her waist, his chin on her shoulder. Regrets, he asked. About us? Never. She turned in his arms to face him. About the hard, the risk, the talk sometimes, but never about picking you. Good. He kissed her soft. Because I'm never letting you go. Owning always, no shame in his voice. You made me yours that night, when you whispered in Spanish. Fair is fair. She laughed, remembering those words. As Heroso, she'd said, looking at the city lights, she hadn't meant for him to hear, hadn't known that those two whispered words would change all. I love you, she said now in Spanish, then Korean, then English. All the tongues they'd built their link on. I love you, he replied in the same 3 tongues, his accent perfect in each one, in every tongue that is, I love you. And under the soul night sky, wrapped in each other's arms, they both knew the truth. Love wasn't always safe or easy or smart. Sometimes it was risky and mixed and totally crazy. But when it was real, when two people saw each other true and picked each other anyway, it was worth every risk. Cassie Brooks had spent her whole life being nobody. Now she was somebody's all, and that made all the difference.